All right, we got another sealed event, and as always, we will sort the piles by rarity. Looks like we have no mythics. We have 7 rares. They're a foil, 2 Witchbane orbs, which are not really good cards. Small for fun, Heartless Summoning. Am I missing something? Isn't one of these supposed to be? There's 7 rares, there's only 6 packs. Shouldn't one of these be foil? Okay, whatever. I'm not gonna worry about it. So this card is pretty awesome, and this card's good at closing out games, sort of like a last gasp kind of thing if there's a control-ish type deck to be had. And obviously a 2/2 first strike vigilance with relevant protections is good as well. So we'll be looking especially at red. And just go by color, and it looks like we have a bunch of transform cards that are in red. We have the Village Ironsmith, which is solid. This guy is okay. I don't like him that much, but he's going to be good in a control deck should we go that way, I think. Brimstone Volley is obviously amazing. Ancient Grudge is kind of more of a sideboard card. Harvest Pyre, the first one, is usually pretty good. Of course, I like Geist Flame. Don't know about that card yet. Infernal Plunge is bad. This card's okay. A lot of these depend on what kind of stuff we do. Like Rolling Tembler is going to be really good in a slow red deck that just wants to get up to its triple Pitchburn Devils and Heretic's Punishment and Instigator Gang. And this card's fine too, 6 mana removal. So we have a lot of good red cards to play with. We have not only some decent high-end stuff, but it's a very deep color and has plenty of removal. So now we just need to find the best thing to pair it with. We have the option to pair it with blue, but we're really looking for anything that can fill in our. So we got some cheap dudes and some cheap removal, but we don't have a lot of huge stuff on the back end. And it would be nice to have a little more removal and a little bit more early game. So let's see what we can do here. In black, I do not have any dead weights, which is what I was really looking for. Although this Interloper is pretty good in an aggressive deck, probably not here. Victim of Night is kind of what we're looking for. That's not really that good. Yeah, there's 2 cards, but they're both double black and require a lot of commitment, and we don't seem to be very deep at the end black, so we'll sadly not play the new skin render. Blazing Torch is going to make our deck no matter what. This is actually a card that I've underrated, I think, because it can fix some colors for you, and it counts as a land slot, I think, and so that might be something maybe that plus this, we could splash blue. So what's in blue if we wanted to splash it? Geist is pretty good, and Moon Heron is solid. Makeshift Mauler is very good. Grasp of Phantasms is one of my favorite cards. I've gotten a chance to play with it a lot, and it always gives you the card back, and usually it generates some positive tempo for you, which I don't know how good that's going to be in this deck because it's very slow, but if you can make any use of the tempo at all, you do always get your card back, and it's usually just a real drag on your opponents, and you can flash it back later to pick up an additional card's worth of value. And Silent Departure is obviously amazing, especially in a deck that wants to buy time and has quality threats coming. So we could splash any or all of these cards and go red-blue. Butcher's Cleaver is alright. We don't have a lot of humans. In fact, I think all our humans are werewolves. So the goal would be for them not to be humans. But if we end up playing with another color, we could maybe play that. I'm not really impressed by any of these other cards. Cellar Door seems alright. In a slower controlling type deck. We'll probably at least consider that. So then what we really need, we don't have any like bomby cards that are just going to get us there other than the Heretic's Punishment is pretty good. But maybe, so we've ruled out black and we've got a few, maybe I should play this deranged assistant too if I go blue, because it can ramp us up to our devils. So that's a pretty good complementing set of blue cards there. But green seems to have some decent stuff too. There's more mana acceleration. This Caravan Vigil is pretty good. It's about as good as this Amulet, and has a chance to be better late game with Morbid. Orchard Spirit is kind of quicker and evasive. Good for aggression. I don't know if we'd want that here, but there's a 3/4 with Defender that I think would fit in our slower plan. And the Grizzled Outcasts would be the upper end threat we would want to give us in the late game, as well as this Spider, which is obviously pretty good. The problem is that all these also cost, like this is what our 5 slot would look like, and that's pretty crowded, but we would have the 2 Pilgrims to help smooth it out. The blue gives us, I'm leaning towards the green over the blue despite the presence of this, because this is an additional fixer we'll get to replace this, and we'll have the Amulet. And also because the green is a little beefier, whereas the blue is kind of more for buying time and, you know, situational cards. And I think we're going to have plenty of cards that buy us time. We have the Temblor, which does 2 damage to a lot of creatures. We got First Strikers, which kind of ward off early attackers, and that's obviously very good. We have decent, cheap removal. What we really need is big stuff to secure our late game. So I'm leaning towards a red-green, and then this wolf is probably fine. Don't know how I feel about these spirits. I have the Pilgrims now as additional humans. And I have 6. All 6 transform cards. So let's look at white, because I'm seeing some cards in white that I like as well. Like the Elite Inquisitor, obviously, but here's this Blinding Mage is very good. Silver Chase Fox is fine. It's at least equal to this card. There's a second Blinding Mage. Rebuke gives us some removal. Elder Cathar is very good. Even if you're just putting a 1/1 counter on something, if that something has First Strike or has some additional value, then that's very good. Chapelgeist and Fiend Hunter and such, they don't really need explanation. Gallows Warden is a good flyer, and I don't know about these Purebloods, probably wouldn't play them. Spectral Rider I'm kind of iffy on. It's not as good. Well, I mean, it's a good card. But all my opponents the last time I played had white, and that really irritated me. So maybe not as good as I had hoped. And I'd probably play this Butcher's Cleaver with the flyers and the other stuff. So then now what I've got is sort of a mid-range, like hybrid type deck that is trying to get some early board presence and use the removal to put them in range where you can just finish them off with the Devils or the Heretic's Punishment, or just a push from transforming an Instigator's Gang. And this might actually be the best build. It's got 9 non-creature, non-lands, and that's a lot, but I'm gonna sort out what they are to make sure that they're what I want them to be, because it's okay. I don't normally like having more than 7 or 8 cards out of 40 not be either creatures or lands, because I mean creatures do things and lands you need. The rest of those slots have to be pretty good to defend themselves. Because if your draw is pretty slow, it's hard to win just sitting on a handful of non-creatures, even if they are like Blazing Torch and Brimstone Volley, because eventually you need pressure to win. So I like to have plenty of pressure in my decks. I think that's all. Okay, so we're looking at a Fringe Bomb as far as remove. I think this card is really good. it's a little bit cerebral eruption-esque where you don't know how much damage it's going to do, but it can go to a player's face, and I just don't see any way that that could be undervalued. And we have the Butcher's Cleaver, which is probably an iffy thing, but since we're playing white and have a bunch of humans, like I think this is a human, yeah, it's just, it becomes Loxodon Warhammer if you have enough humans, and even the red guys are humans before they transform, which means if we put the Cleaver on them, our opponent will have to deal with, this is a 4-1 first strike lifelink or a 6-1 first strike, and that makes our non-transform cards better if our opponent tries to keep them, from being transformed. So I really like the Butcher's Cleaver in this build, and the rest of this stuff is all removal. So if we sort by converted mana cost again, we got a nice mix of early 2 and 3s. We can go defensive with our Blinding Mages, or we can go offensive. We can even put a Cleaver on this guy and go offensive. We could put a Cleaver on this guy and he's pretty much unstoppable, short of a removal spell. We've got little removal for the little things. We've got removal. We've got cards that go to the face. We've got sweepers. The humans make this card a little worse because 2 damage to everything without flying is going to kill a lot of our stuff. But I think this card will still be powerful enough to pull its weight. The Instigator Gang can now come down, and we'll have some board presence already, and we can start getting value out of it. And now our 5s are in the right place. They're coming down, acting as big threats that are hard to deal with, because if you kill off the devils and you're at low life, then you're probably going to start being at risk of dying, particularly paired with some of the burn we have. So I think I'm very happy with this build. I'm probably going to run this Amulet for thinning and fixing because we have a lot of double whites early, and I think that would be good. And then we'd have 15 land. Not sure if that's enough. We don't have a whole lot of expensive stuff. We effectively have 16 land because the Amulet is a land. If we were going to cut something, not sure. I definitely like the first Harvest Pyre. The Gallows Warden is a little loose. We don't have any other spirits, so it's just a vanilla 3/3 flyer. But I think even a vanilla... Oh, we have this, I guess. I think even a vanilla 3/3 flyer is pretty good. Probably not going to want to cut that for a land specifically. I'm not sure. Maybe this card, but I feel like this is a good card to have because 13 damage to take care of just about any bomb, and we're lacking in just straight up removal. So I mean, 13 damage will 13 damage will get you there most of the time, even if it is expensive. And I guess we can go with 15 lands and an Amulet. I think that's there'll be some annoying times where we need to draw the 4th land or whatever, and we draw the Amulet instead. That's the only thing I'm worried about. But we have a lot of cards that get better if we don't cast spells. So even if we're a little mana screwed, maybe we can just not play anything and hold up mana for some of our tricks and that kind of thing. I think this is a choose to draw deck because it's got good late game and the good removal, and the colors are pretty greedy. So 8 and 7, eh? Well, let's sort by color. Like, I have more red cards, but my white cards are greedier. So I actually think I'm going to go 8 and 7. Oops. I really should just play a 16th land in addition to the Amulet. Let's see what can go. I guess this Gallows Warden can go. I feel like he's really good. Like, he'll be good at slipping in the last few points because he's evasive, and I don't have a lot of flyers. But I'm pretty buried at the 5 slot. Yeah, I'm gonna cut this guy for another land, and if the deck is flooding, then I'll bring him back in. A 3/3 flyer is good, but for 5, it's not so good that you can't cut him. So I guess this is the 40 we'll go with, but I'm aware that I want to make changes. This Spectral Rider might come in against anything that's slow and not playing white, and I could see bringing in this Moment of Heroism against more aggressive decks. Ancient Grudge could see play alongside a Singleton Forest if we wanted to neutralize some artifacts. So we'll just go with this for now and see where we get.